Welcome everyone to another RGL cast. My name is Jared. I'm here with TC Monitor, bringing you guys Jiminy versus the Cell. This is RGL Invite 6's Season 17, Week 3A. And Jiminy's road so far has been pretty lax. They're 5-0 right now, but eventually when you reach the tail end of the midpoint of the season, you start to have tougher and tougher opponents. And the first one is going to be the Cell, who had just barely lost the previous match we casted versus G6, but who knows, maybe they can fare well better tonight. And for both these teams, this is going to be especially important because with so many competitors that are not only gunning for a spot in playoffs, but have already kind of proved their worth by collecting so many kills versus very difficult teams this season, this is going to be one of those matches that if you don't win, you're kind of setting yourself up to be trying to climb up a mountain for the rest of the season.
No, yeah, you definitely are, and both these teams are 100% going to be wanting a win. I 100% agree with you on the fact that Jiminy so far have had a fairly kind of easy season. A lot of the matches that they've already played have been against kind of a lower invite teams. They did have the one against Greasy Dot Hogs, which they just barely won, so it wasn't a very dominant win against them. Still a win, so they'll be happy with it. But now, as you look at the next kind of 3-4 matches that they've got the Cell, which we're going to be seeing tonight. Then next week, they've got Froyotech, Like a G6, Franz J Present. So it is going to be all hands on deck for them. So they are kind of having to warm themselves up, get themselves into tip-top shape as they compete with, like you said, all these other teams who are going to be looking to get those top 4 slots into invite playoffs.
Yep, and for the side of the Cell, even though they almost, they didn't quite get their victory last night, they probably view it as a match they didn't need to win, even though it would have been really nice. But two, they did really good on making sure that their win-loss percentage stayed pretty in their favor by making sure that, a loss wasn't just a complete roll and it was a tough victory for the other team. But, it's good warm-up and all, but you really got to make sure that you learn whatever you could over the past however much that you've been able to play Metalworks to incorporate what you can this time. Because, the Jiminy, they've had an easy schedule so far, but who knows, maybe they'll turn the 5-0 into a 6-0 if you're not too careful. So I'm expecting a really close match. If you're someone who likes to go into the logs and dig a whole lot, even though, the logs only mean so much. They're scrims, you're trying and practicing stuff and testing, it's whatever. But most of the time, these guys in the server, these two teams, they're actually pretty close. I don't think there's been a single roll that I could find when I combed through the past, month or so between the amount of times that these two practice, and they play a decent amount. So before we go too deep into predictions, though, it's important to reiterate we're playing Metalworks, and we need to go over the rosters. So why don't you go ahead and pick one TC Mono and run it down?
Sure, I will go over the roster for Jiminy. So it's kind of an interesting one if you haven't already seen them so far on Scout. It is going to be Psy Guy and Blank. Psy is going to be your pocket scout. Blank is going to be on flank scout. Psy, obviously people know him for his, projectile DM. Him on demo, him on soldier, but instead this season he's going to be on scout, and he's been looking pretty good in the match that we did see with him. Gungan and Yite are going to be the two soldiers. Of course, those are two well-known scout mains, I think is how most people would probably identify them as, but in their match against the Greasy Dot Hogs, they had some pretty good synergy, all things considered. Some things that they kind of messed up on a little bit, but now that we're kind of heading into that midpoint of a season, maybe they'd have a chance to work together as a team and identifies those artists. He's a beast on demo. You know him from his Witness Gaming days. Absolutely insane. And then lastly, we have Divine on Medic.
And for the Cell, you have Soar and Raven on Scout, Greg and High Five on Soldier, Dingo on Demo, and Jay on Medic. Not quite as much off-classing really on the side of the Cell. Some would view High Five as a Scout main, but he's had plenty of Soldier experience at this point with all the amounts of seasons that he's played. It's also a large variety of, I would say, experience when it comes to the overall teams. You have plenty that have played seasons on seasons. You have some that, they've barely just started in Invite, and even Greg, I think this is going to be his introduction into Invite, but regardless of their experience on paper, they definitely all have already shown the various methods that they have, what it takes to go ahead and launch themselves into playoffs. But just because that you're good enough to do it on paper in a stacked season like this, one mistake and it can all come crashing down. So we'll see if they have the coordination and the execution to actually land themselves the spot. Right now, you can go ahead and take a look at the pick bands to see what happened and how we kind of got here. You can see at the very beginning the Jiminy bands were kind of banning out honestly somewhat staple maps at this point. Bagel, I mean, it's as close to stable, maybe more in the middle, realistically, because Koth can be kind of upsetty sometimes, and things like that. And it is, I guess, it's not new anymore, but it's newer, I guess, technically. But still, kind of normal-ish, but it doesn't really fit a theme. This is definitely more, or at least it seems from a third-person point of view, more like a personalized ban list of like, we're just not that great at these maps, so we haven't gotten a chance to scrim them yet. But for the side of the cell, it is a little bit more themed. You got rid of a lot of the choky maps, a lot of the maps that you might not necessarily be scrimming tons and tons as well. But at the end of the day, Jiminy will go ahead and pick up Metalworks as the map that we find ourselves on tonight.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the cells bans, I didn't even realize that greenery was in the map pool. I'm going to be honest, so not too surprised to see that ban coming out there. And then same thing with Sultry. Probably not a map that you see too often, but Metalworks is kind of that little bit of a middle ground. Obviously, it's been in the map pool for I don't know how many years, maybe a decade at this point, probably a bit longer than that, but it's not kind of a staple pug map that something like Process, Snakewater, Sunshine is, so it's in that happy middle ground. Everyone knows it, everyone's played countless of scrims and pugs on it, but it doesn't have that kind of same status as one of the top three, so it should be a fairly good playing ground, all things considered. But one thing I do want to mention is it is true, there is not a lot of off-classing on the cell, but the one person who is Jay Yunpei, who is playing on Medic. In the one game that we saw, or actually the games that we saw with the cell when they first played earlier in the season, there was a little bit of disconnect between Jay and the rest of the combo. Sometimes he would go in and they think they were going to use at one point while everyone else was maybe off on doing a little bit of different things, and sometimes they'd run out at different places, and not stuff that stuff that's easily fixable. And because Jay isn't a Medic player, it's probably understandable that they don't necessarily know, but obviously Jay is a really good player, so it's not going to be too long before he's going to be able to figure that out. It's just a matter of when, and if any other teams are going to be able to exploit it before they do.
Yeah, but I think he has the one medic season in advance, and that's about it. But really, it just kind of looked like growing pains. You just change your roster, and it's a very integral role when it comes to comms and decision-making and synchronizing your team as a whole. And, they were kind of they weren't as much on point, even though they still showed a lot of prowess. But it's been some time since then, realistically. So, as time goes on, every week will allow your team to fix those little issues and then allow you to kind of work on the bigger ones. As we go into predictions here, it is going to be close, I think, no matter what. Maybe within a round, or maybe even two. It's kind of hard to say, at least for me, 2 rounds, though. Things are swinging slightly more Jiminy's way, it looks like, in the predictions so far. It is their map pick, after all, so you would kind of assume that they have an idea of what they want to do going into this. But we've seen plenty of times where a team picks a map and loses it tons and tons of times, more specifically. So, TC, with all said and done, what are you thinking the final outcome of this match is going to be?
Oh, this is such a hard one. Like you said, they've been so close into scrims quickly before we go live. I am just going to say it's going to be a 3-2 in the favor of... let's go with Cell. Yeah, 3-2 in the favor of the Cell. I think it's going to be close. I think a lot of it is going to be just on the kind of transition fights, who has the better Ubers, kind of getting into second, and that type of stuff, and kind of catapulting off of that.
I am kind of leaning towards 2-1 in favor of the Cell, mostly because Metalworks is a, very historically slow map. Not even if it's a stalemate, but just slow because the transitions are so long. You can even see, I always say it when we cast this, the rollout is so long as we go live here that, it's going to be a bit before they actually get to the mid. But yeah, I'm looking at not too many rounds collected, but I'd be happy to be proved wrong and see many collected. So we'll see how things transpire. As we're on our way to the first mid, immediately Dingo kind of pushed outside, and Soar took some damage and ate an ornament. The bleed damage will actually secure the kill there, as the rest of the blue team will go ahead and have to back up. So immediately, just a little bit of spam, and the right spam and the ornament connecting onto all into Soar is going to kind of realistically end the mid before it even begins.
Yeah, that is going to be a very disappointing mid if you are Vassell, but Greg going in for a very aggressive bomb, getting a lot of damage onto Divine, gets the kill, and there's just going to be a huge collapse coming out from everyone on Vassell onto the Jiminy players. It's only going to be Yite and Gungan, the last two alive, the soldiers for Jiminy. Here comes one bomb coming in from Yite, and launches Raven up into the sky, not going to be able to get the kill there. So really great initiation from Greg, but even better collapse from everyone else on Vassell.
Yeah, High Five immediately came in as well. They were all kind of distracted at Greg, and they didn't even kind of see where High Five was coming from. So it was realistically a double soldier bomb that just worked out absolutely perfectly. And they're already here for the push, so it's not even like a detriment where they're not going to be able to participate to try to take two for free. Speaking of two, there's only 3 people from the side of Jiminy that are able to actually set up, and a 3v6 is not something you want to fight at all. Even Blank has already respawned and immediately gone on the sentry gun because I know that last is going to be the hold here. You have Sai and Pyro kind of hoping that they're going to be going to this right-hand side from the defender's perspective, and if otherwise, he'll just air blast the gun. And but he will be lucky choosing the right door, but how long will it take for this Pyro to die? Immediately, double scattered down. It's like they knew this was coming, and they knew the Sai Pyro was going to be a thing. They bring the soldiers over to the point, but the Uber is available for the side of the red team. They're running forward, able to kill Dingo, so Delman down, Mine High Five in the backline, and Thor as well. They're actually able to get a couple kills here, but overall, they get enough to kind of thwart the blue team from continuing to push forward. They're poking and prodding. Artists might find themselves too far forward. Gungan, a little bit separated. It is going to be overall 2v2 though. It'll look kind of sketchy for both teams being so separated from each other at the tail end of there when they initiated that last bit of the fight. But the respawners in red team's favor will end any sort of push coming from the blue team, and we will reset to most likely a stalemate.
Yeah, I think it is going to be a stalemate, especially with Soar coming up on Sniper. Soar, one of the newer players to the top level of Invite, like you said, this is only his 2nd season. And already on one of the top playoffs teams, so very commendable. Let's see if he's going to be able to hit some heads here as he's posted up over in lobby, takes his shot, so now they definitely know about the sniper. The element of surprise has been taken away, but that doesn't mean Soar can't still hit some shots and ruin Jiminy's day. It's really just going to be on Jiminy to try and lock down all these angles, make sure the sniper has no easy access in. And if you are Vassell, you do have the sniper. That doesn't mean you can't still try and go for some types of sacks while everyone is kind of playing around the sniper. It means you probably know where the medic is, Divine, having to play a little bit closer, being protected by the sentry gun. Still doable for one of the soldiers to try and get in, maybe get some good rockets. They are going to be launched up by the sentry gun, but that doesn't mean that they can't shoot down and maybe get the force onto Divine.
Yep, and because you have Sai on Sniper, which is a rare Sai, I will say, because of his role that he usually plays either on Pocket or Demo Man. The difficult thing about this last is you really want to be able to spam down the gun if you can, as per usual with most last, but it's so difficult to get an angle on it realistically if there is a sniper that could just shoot any of your soldiers. So they have to find a kill onto the sniper, or at least maybe one of the soldiers, or just do this. Actually, that's a really good play. It makes you want to see if they had a gun or man treads on or anything. But double soldier right over the fence, just knocked him off and came straight through, and that's a pretty easy force. That's the alternate thing I was about to segue into, is if you don't feel like that's going to be the angle, at least the fact that Soar is on Sniper means that Divine is holding close against the wall. Your soldiers would know exactly where they need to land. They just make sure that they're not both denied by the gun, and they do succeed, whether it was unlocks or not, didn't quite see, to land on him. So what was immediately going to be a pretty long stalemate has immediately flipped around into the Cell's favor, and they're getting ready to push through this left-hand side.
Gungan up on the lamp. We'll see if that comes into play at all. The Uber does come in. They do take down the sentry gun. He bombs on for the point, but it's only Ubered players. Yite going to be taken down. Gungan very weak, so not really in a position to block the point, but it helps get a kill onto High Five and Greg. Actually, it seems like Jiminy going to be able to hold onto this nice stickies from Dingo, but that's not going to salvage the push for them. They are going to have to back up out of 2 as everyone from Jiminy just rush forward immediately. Artist trying to peek the point. Raven actually goes for a play onto Divine, gets the force. That's going to be huge for Jiminy. Actually, huge for the Cell. Going to be a little bit of a silver lining there, even though they did lose that push.
Yeah. It's kind of weird for the side of the Cell, because part of me wanted to say that if, they would have played cap time, it would have been easier to draw people over. They wouldn't have to chase so deep to get, lose all these people. But then again, Gungan did try to sink 2 rockets on the point, so if they unflashed a scout to try to corner cap, they might have just exploded. So You know, it really just comes down to not being able to chase any kills there with the Uber that kind of makes it bad. But at least they have an opportunity to push. They do have ad because of the play that Raven made earlier. Greg is trying to make space. They're not quite committing though. Yite trying to go for a force, or at least see if he can make some commotion to slow them down, but will not be so lucky. At least he does get to escape with his life. And the red team is about to reach their Uber, and I think the cell kind of knows, or no, they don't know. They don't know that it's not really an Uber ad anymore. They're trying, but that's about a 10% Uber ad. They have to try to escape, and Dingo leads the opposite way, is able to kind of escape. The gun did die. Yite over chasing just a tad. Almost kills Sword, dropped him down to 1 HP there. 1 HP in a dream, and this might be a dry. They're rebuilding the gun. They have the heavy. Greg's in. Onto the gun. It's immediately dead. He's distracting. Onto Blank. A Bull Sworder's going in. They're kind of stuck though. Gungan tying him up. Greg is going to fall. The heavy is still out on the field. Onto the bridge. Trying to deal with Raven. He's so weak. Eating the arrows. The locomotives aren't quite hitting, and Raven will get sticky down. So overall, valiant attempt to try to go for the dry off the one player, especially with it being a spam class, but they don't quite hit the mark.
They don't quite hit the mark. Now Jiminy going to be able to push out off of their last. Still a couple of cell players here trying to contest.
Blank.
Yite. Oh,
the
Blank actually gets on the J. That's going to be huge. So now it's going to be big Uber advantage in the favor of Jiminy. Soar being taken down over in map room, just maybe trying to go for something similar. Maybe a back cap play, but it's not going to work out. Jiminy can be able to push through Valley as everyone on the cell have to try and post up and get in for defensive positions. Seemed like one of his soldiers was on Batman, but they opt to just jump away instead. So there's only going to be Raven in the forward spawn. I don't think they know. There's no traps on it just quite yet. He walks out. He gets a body shot on one of his scouts, but he's just going to back spawn as Vassell still have to try and defend at 80% disarm.
On the side, at least there was some traps inside the hallway in house. The side will go ahead and eat that, and that's their well, they did have ad. They're still going with it though. They just brought the other scout. Art is going to jump in, but they're pretty much all out. I think they kind of knew that, yeah, if they want to go in, they can't take it slow because of the side death. They have to play it fast. And do not die, but high five. No one's watching ramp room, just finds the way on Divine. Greg in the backline is able to kill Gungan. They're overall giving up their lives, but they are able to create the space they need for the rest of the team. And Greg actually didn't even give up his life, got a second one in Blank as well. He's still going on to mid. Gotta beware of the lock and loads, but Yite tries to go for a play on his own, maybe get the kill on the grade and will succeed, but overall it is just a trade, which doesn't mean too much at the end of the day, as the cell will succeed in retaking mid. Jay alive all the while, maintaining their ad, and they probably got to wait for their soldiers at least a little bit before they begin the push, but looking like a pretty good opportunity to try to take two for their own, considering Yite's also dead.
Yeah, it is going to be a very great opportunity for the cell. Immediately you see them over in Valley, just maybe trying to get everyone nice and buffed up. They are going to commit through lower. They have been spotted, taking a little bit of spam damage. Jay especially, that's going to be Gungan trying to get in behind. He's going to be chased by Raven, so it's going to be on to wherever he lives. He does manage to stay alive. The Jiminy could try and go for something. He's just going to try and block the point and be a little bit of a nuisance in the back lines. A couple of players looking for him, so that is going to split the cell's attention, and it does allow Jiminy to get 100% Uber, so they're going to be pretty safe on last for the moment. They do have to worry about Gungan in behind, because if he goes down and then someone else goes down on last, that could be very, very bad for them. But at the moment, Gungan is just drawing both soldiers and a scout all the way back to Vassell's second point. He's going all the way back to their last, actually. So at least for the moment, Jiminy don't have to worry about anyone pushing in or really even any sacks.
Yeah, I mean, drawing 3 was honestly pretty good, but they're so set up on the side of Jiminy that they'd have to go and switch off their off classes. Meanwhile, as soon as they do that, someone might just die. I was more about to say Gungan would die because he's the one behind, but it's actually a headshot from Sion to Raven. So honestly, that opened things up a little bit because Gungan is still drawing some people back. Artist is now going to get aggressive, able to hit a lock and load, but they're kind of just hiding in this corner by the shutter and maybe want to just rip it straight through. They're playing mind games. They're going to use Uber, get the kill on the demo, just run straight into last. Beware, the gun is still up. That might be something that kind of foils their plan. They have to spam it down, at least get another extra kill or two here if they really want to make this work, or maybe at least get a force, but they're not succeeding in actually getting this gun. Their attention split with the one death and the Uber only getting a handful of people and still trying to find Gungnam, which they eventually will do. It's taking a long while. Meanwhile, Divine still has its Uber if he needs it. Yite, very weak, not be able to spam this door, so maybe they'll be actually able to get the gun down now as Blank is having to resup to get more and more ammo to repair it, but it will finally die to the lock and load. And the spoon from Greg! He gets the market garner onto Divine. The Uber's immediately gone, and now the cell. They have an opportunity. They don't want to dry it, though. They tried to do the dry once before. It did not really work out, and it was a soldier kill as well earlier, which is tons and tons of spam. But they're going to play it safe. They're 85. Just buy time for the Uber. Greg will respawn as well. Divine might be able to buff a handful of players. But overall, the safer maneuver, just playing it slow and trying to go for an honest attempt at receiving the first round so far, despite all the attempts that have been shown this match.
Yeah, a few attempts, and now here comes the Uber. Dingo getting a little bit launched, but Sentry Gun actually side doing a nice job reflecting it, and 2 kills coming out in the favor of Jiminy, and this is going to be instantly a lost push for the Cell. They're just going to back up. They do still have Dingo to try and block all these choke points out, but with a Uber advantage in the favor of Jiminy, you know they're going to try and bust through here while they still can. Greg going to be bombing the doors, takes a lot of damage, does a lot in return, but not able to get the kill. He falls, and with that kill, that is going to allow Jimmy to get out onto second, and they might just go forward. I think they are. They're going to be getting in through Valley. Divine at around 90%, so they're probably going to be able to have this Uber if they do want to use it.
Yeah, and since Jay's only at 70, they don't really have too much room here. I mean, they can kind of spam. Maybe they can hit something good. Like, I mean, he is running lock on it on the side of Dingo. But much safer to just go ahead and back up, especially because they might just rip it down bridge right now. It's 5% ad. Will he be able to get it in time? Jay barely uses, but he fell down onto the floor. But hey, Artist's here. They'll collect that kill. Now they're going to go ahead and climb up the little ramp on the left-hand side. Watch the soldier bomb. Jay is dead. They might try to flood through some other doors, but no, they're kind of still stuffed because of the soldier presence here, despite them being weak. The rest of the Cell go out to the side of the Valley area and trying to poke their way into mid. The entire team of Jiminy are backing up, make sure they can stay alive, but yikes! He tries to jump away, but I think he hits his head on the staple. Bomb coming in from high 5, able to take the pack, and overall, oh, he gets balled mid-air from Blank. Oh, do not test these Highlander players with their ornaments. That's 2 kills that Blank has pretty much gotten almost by himself. Just needed someone softened up just a tad. And at the end of the day, Jiminy will succeed in not only holding their Uber, but maintaining their position on mid.
Oh, and Gungan finds a nice kill onto Dingo. That's going to allow it to be so much easier for everyone on Jiminy to get in onto second. They're just going to be able to walk through. Greg is going to be able to get out to safety, so no late death there. That's going to be good if you are the Cell, but they're in a very precarious situation because already Jiminy are just walking through. They're getting so much space for free. They're getting a lot of cap time now. Finally, they do use their Uber. No one on the Cell in position, and after 13 minutes, Jared, Jiminy are going to be taking the first round.
That was really good from the side of Jiminy, recognizing that, you know, well, it was a little bit of a mistake from the side of the Cell, ending their Uber, like, on where they did. They wanted to climb because Jay accidentally fell and got pushed around. They were also, I mean, they also probably didn't expect the 5% dis out anyway, but either way, what Jiminy saw, they took very well advantage of, and it netted them this first round here going into the second mid. Immediately, a lot of spam onto both Artist and Raven, but they will at least survive throughout it all. They will be able to eat some packs and some arrows to continue to fight here, but Divine took some sticky damage or some rocket damage, has to go ahead and region up. Got to be aware of potential high bombs, but the soldiers themselves are a little bit on the passive side. Artist is going to pick up the kill on Raven. The high bomb from Gungan, and yikes, the air shot from Gungan taking down Jay. They will get cleaned up from the side of Jiminy, but you're actually collecting a couple kills here. So it's not a complete wipe. They're actually persevering, and Soar, last one left lives, is going to get taken down by Yite, as overall the timing of the double bomb worked out perfectly, and the earlier kill on the Raven helped seal the deal as well. So really good job there, despite the slow start, for the side of Jiminy to go ahead and take this mid up for themselves.
Yeah, really great stuff. And that's going to be actually 2 rounds going Jiminy's way. The first one was obviously the previously mentioned ornament kill, coming out from Blank onto Soar. Now it seems like the Cell want to try, and they should be able to get onto second. Jiminy were peeking it, but they didn't really have enough presence, and you know, they thought twice about it. They decided, hey, let's just go back to mid, try and get this Uber up, and then we can maybe go for a sack attempt on to Jay, because at the moment it is basically even Ubers. Jay does have a little bit of ad, but I would be very surprised to see the Cell take it, considering it's only around 20% and the Cell are the ones defending on their second. So probably just gonna even up, allow Jiminy to get, and it's going to be on Jiminy to try and bust in, get some momentum, and try and force out the Uber from Jay, or get enough picks that it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, trying to hold second in the stalemate is, I think, the ultimate test of a team on Metalworks. This is like the first thing that you need to learn as a team and nail down on how exactly you guys are going to teeter-totter between left and right. You know, are you going to play passive in the shutter or play towards the point? We have bomb coming in. It's actually on to Greg, which is not one of the targets you would immediately expect. Artist taking tons of damage. He will get arrowed up. Same could be said for Sai, but Gungan will eventually give up his life as the rest of Jiminy has to escape because their HP got so low. Very, very sketchy. But the side of the cell, they're on the move. They're walking with their whole team through underpass to try to put the extra pressure on anyone to be able to allow things to open up and maybe get the sack on the Divine. But they would need to find an opening. Don't think they quite see it. And, but Yite, he might find the angle through drop down. The timing's not quite there yet, though, so he will not be able to net the kill, or force, but at least he does escape with his life, so overall will not be too eventful here. And we'll just go ahead and do a full reset and see how Jiminy try on sack attempt number 2.
Yeah.
Really didn't expect the Greg sack, but maybe we'll see it again, maybe someone else.
Yeah, maybe they were just trying to get an easy pick. And then try and build some momentum off of that. We'll have to see if they go for it again, as this time Gungan bombs in, is going to be able to actually lands on high 5, does a bit of damage to him, but it's going to be 2 going down for Jiminy. They lose both of their soldiers. It's going to be a lot harder to spam all of these doorways without those 2 projectiles. The cell just going to be able to walk in. Sword taking a lot of space onto the Divine, forces out the Uber. Now the cell just going to have to back up. They do lose 1 onto Sword, but a scout for the Uber force. He'll take that any day. Raven takes a pipe, and that's going to call out the Uber from Vassell. And they are, Divine's caught in. Absolutely just left alone, and is going to be the one to fall for Jiminy. No one else dies there, so a little bit of a misplay. There is a back cap coming out from Blank. Might be able to get it if these defenders come in time, but no. And that's going to be the cell being able to capture up the midpoint anyway. So now Blank stuck in behind. Everyone else on the cell rushes forward onto second. This is going to be very big Uber advantage for the cell as long as Jay doesn't die here. They have to watch out for Blank, but I think they might be able to.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a miscommunication or if it was just unfortunate. I didn't quite see, but the fact that Blank was the only scout alive because Sai died means that him going behind left Divine without any scout speed and just ends up kind of, you know, out in no man's land and will eventually die. Blank does find 1 while he is 2v1'd, or 1v2'd, so, you know, at least he slowed things down just a tad and he'll respawn and be there to defend last, way before high 5 will be able to roll out and participate, but there's still ad nonetheless. They go in, Yite is having miserable time right now up against the wall. Will eventually get scattered down. The gun falls as well as the heavy is out on the field for the side of Blank and friends as 3 subs go all around. Artist just getting ran down inside of Raven, and there's tons of cap time gained by Greg. Sai brought over, bomb onto Jay. They will eventually wipe, though, running out of resources as the cell tie up the game 1-1.
Really great push coming in there from the cell. They maybe could have waited for high 5, but they decided just to rip it, and they played that perfectly. Whereas, you know, sometimes, like you said, they, you know, either could have chased picks and they weren't able to get it last time. They got the point and the picks, and they were able to just bait Jiminy to try and defend the point, and they just shot them from behind. So great stuff there. Coming up on to the next mid, we'll have to see if it's going to be a repeat, another Jiminy mid, or if the seller finally can be able to take one for their Gungan. Going for a fade bomb, just gets back and heals up, and it's going to be Raven the first one to fall, and I think it is going to be another Jiminy mid instantly. They are going to leave. There are a few soldiers trying to chase. Yite going in super deep. There was Blank over in the house, maybe trying to see if he could get through drop down. He opts against it after he sees his soldier buddy fall. So that is going to be Jiminy taking control of mid once again.
Yeah, Dingo took so much damage and had to back up that I think they were very confident and just decided to get the kill on the scout. But this is a 5 to 10% Uber ad that they are not going to succeed. There's a lot of beefing there. There's not even, I don't know if there's words to describe what we just saw, because that really probably should have been a dead medic, and Sword tries to go for something cheeky there and drop down, but will not succeed as they have way too much health going through there. It's just high 5 left alive, 50 HP, trying to go for some directs here, but will not be able to net anything there. So, I mean, valiant effort, but it seems like some of the execution from the side of the cell is very hit or miss overall throughout the course of this match as they find themselves on last. They have some time to build the Uber at least, so they can get the gun up to level 3. They have some time for high 5 to go ahead and respawn and get buffed up to try to cover the flank or get ready to block the point. Will not see a pyro though, so they're just going to be able to run straight through and see how this plays out for the side of Jiminy, as they're not quite reaching their Uber yet. I don't know if they've really spotted, but I mean, there's not like there's a sniper or anything to spot per se, so things will look pretty normal. Oh no, Sora is on pyro. Okay, so we'll see what door they pick and we'll see how it plays out.
Seems like they're going straight into Soar. Is he going to be able to stay alive and stuff the Uber? Artist managed to take down a lot of the buildings, but crucially not the sentry gun. They do finally find Soar. Sai is going to be traded out though, so not all that bad for the Cell. Blank is in super deep, does get cleaned up. Same thing for Gunningham, but so much kept them onto the point. Can they defend it? Finally, high five. Bombs in on the point, manages to get the kill. It's only going to be Artist doing a lot of damage. Might be able to get the sticky onto high five. He catches an arrow and stays alive. That was very, very close from Jiminy. They did lose 2 or 3 kind of very early, but they made up with it for a lot of capture time. But unfortunately for them, the Cell were just able to jump onto it in the nick of time. But Jared, there is Blank up on Spy.
Yeah, I think he was thinking of maybe that he could back cap, but no, he's just going to get the kill on the J. They didn't see it coming, and he's still alive. Oh, they are going to be able to get some shots on him to be able to make him flash, and they will at least kill the Spy. But things were looking up for the Cell. They held on by the skin of their teeth on last, worked their way onto 2. All right, guys, let's push mid, and then all of a sudden, disaster. So, I mean, not too much you can really do there. That was a really good Spy play coming from the side of Blank, and now the Spy paranoia will be dialed to 11 as the rest of the Cell they're not showing any presence on 2. They're putting all their eggs in one basket on last like they should. Gotta get your heels up and try to at least get as much Uber as you can. As for the side of Jiminy, they're looking at potentially another round conversion here as they're getting the point capped up. You gotta let Blank go ahead and respawn as well, so you can't just go ahead and push. So now that both scouts are available, it seems like everyone's really partial towards this left-hand side, and it looks like things aren't... Oh no, they are gonna differentiate now as they're going to bridge Uber.
Raven might be caught out, is gonna just be able to stay alive for a little bit. Actually, Artist taking a lot of damage early into this Uber push. He is gonna be taking down Greg, traded out, so maybe a little bit better for the Cell. Raven finding a couple of scouts, actually on the Cell finding a lot. It's gonna be a big bomb coming in from Yite. Sai just wants to try and salvage. It's only gonna be Dingo and Jay against the scout. Sai gets one, can he get the other? Jay trying to find the point for his life. Can he delay long enough? No, that is gonna be Divine getting the medic kill. And it's going to be 2-1 in the favor of Jiminy.
Yeah, that cross from bridge over to the left-hand side is really nice, because a lot of the time when you see a bridge Uber, you kind of assume that if you're over by the crates that, you know, that's kind of where you want to stand and where your team would want to kite to if you're not going into the spawn yourself. So a lot of players will feel like they're kind of safe and they don't immediately need to skedaddle, but they find themselves in dire straits, and it kind of screws up where they want to rotate and actually play the post Uber from the Cell side. So really nice job from the side of Jiminy throwing him for a loop, and that play actually nets him into the round here as Greg bombing in is going to be able to trade with Artist. So pretty huge here. Adelman is the bread and butter for the side of Metalwork spam, but bombs coming in as well from the side of the red team. Yite gets piped down. Blank's able to kill Soar. High five maintaining the high arm, but is very weak and needs an arrow. Isn't quite hitting it yet. Really, really wants it. They're just missing and missing, and Sai is able to get the pistol kill on him. Gungan going forward. Really nice pipe on the side of Dingle. Raven able to get the kill on the Gungan as they're backing up. It is a 4v4 overall, except no, 3v3. 2 of them are rolling out. So they still have reason to try to fight this, especially from the side of the Cell, because they do have a Dillman up to completely sticky the world if he's able to get a nice one, or even a lock and load. Got to beware of the footballs, but no one catches it. Sai will eat an arrow, but the cap is already in their favor. Respawners are coming, and if anyone dies, respawn advantage gained for the side of Jiminy, so that's going to be all she wrote as Sai gets a little bit adventurous. Bomb from Artist, trying to get some extra damage, but no one will die despite all the aggression that happened in the last couple seconds of the fight, as both teams will settle down, go to their respective points, and we are at another stalemate.
We are indeed at another stalemate, but we've already seen Jiminy have a little bit of success trying to break this. Maybe just usually actually kind of by forcing the Cell to go for something aggressive. Maybe Jiminy kind of lose to their soldiers, the Cell get aggressive, trying to push mid, and then it all tumbles down from there, generally in Jiminy's favor. We'll see if maybe they can do something similar, or if the bomb just initially can be successful. They're over in Valley. Divine just buffing up Gungan maybe one last time before he goes in. He kind of flubs the jump a little bit, but that's fine. He's still going to be able to jump right in. Tries to go in. Once again, trying to opt for some damage on the soldier. Yite, however, is getting pushed very heavily in the house. Soar is in behind. Is going to be a nuisance as everyone else on Jiminy just have to back up.
Yeah, Soar is able to draw some eyes and back them up all the way over to the mid side. And the side of the Cell, they're a bit slow to pressure, but they are working their way very slowly but surely. Soar you know, the comms have to be precise here on how many people he's actually peeling at a time, because otherwise it's going to be hard to actually bust through these doors at the right moment. High five, able to jump around and behind, find a way onto the vine, will eventually get the force out, but two lost from the side of the cell, losing both their scouts, no scout speed. They used themselves as well. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be an exchange that went awry or they got forced as well, but Greg going to be the final person to fall from the side of the cell, as the rest of them are going to be backing up. Actually, no, High Five going for the play, finds the trade onto Artist and gets the kill on the guy, and Dingo gets the pipe onto Blank. High Five ultimately giving him his life. Sai on the chase, wants to be able to find Dingo. He knows he's pretty weak, but Raven come to save the day, and Dingo will be able to secure the kill with the lock and load himself. So that was really looking up for the side of Jiminy, but at the tail end of things, I think they got overzealous with the scout kills and just didn't synchronize up so that the side of the cell with the rest of the remaining explosive classes were able to completely clear house, and now they don't even have a resemblance of a team on the side of Jiminy to really hold this 100%. But it doesn't seem like they want to go for the coin flip. They know they technically have a small ad, I think. They also know that it would be kind of coin flippy because they are fighting against respawn or disad, so they will go for the safer play and are back to their own 2. So after, despite all the action you just saw, I think you can start to see why me and TC both are going for, you know, the low round predictions here on Metalworks.
Yeah, Metalworks just one of those maps where, like you said, it can just be such a slow game, made even slower sometimes by pauses, which is what we find ourselves in at the moment. Of course, 90 seconds into the future. We don't know at the moment if it is a tactical pause or a tech pause, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised either way, because assumedly maybe in the favor of the cell, like in a hypothetical here where, you know, they lose this round within the next 90 seconds. Obviously, we do have continuous overtime, but considering how long each of these rounds have been, and also just the fact that the cell have not looked good on any of the mids, it doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence that, all right, you know, we can just take it to a round reset, or oh, we just need one good mid and we'll be able to steamroll it. Their mids haven't really looked too dominant. Not to say that Jiminy's has as well. It's not like they've been absolutely wiping the cell every time they meet on mid, but usually Jiminy are just having, you know, they've been able to get like a good amount of opening damage onto one player, one specific player, and then based off of that, they're just able to bully everyone on the cell out of mid. Sometimes it was on the Soar. I think one time it was onto High Five as well. So they was having a really great job at just kind of isolating one player early on the mid and then just forcing everyone else out.
Yeah, Metalworks is, I think, one of 2 maps in the pool currently that you can still have the mid decided before it even starts without the use of having a fast soldier. I think people they're pretty, you know, they recognize that that's a thing that happens with fast soldier bombs, that people just end up dying, or, you know, and then, okay, mid's over. But without the impact of soldiers really like trying to go fast and give up their lives, it usually comes down to Doman getting heavily bullied. Metalworks is one map, Granar is the other, and even if you live on these maps, if you get diffed, whether it's just demo v demo or like including the scouts like pistoling and such, if you get diffed so hard that you lose presence on the map early, the other team just kind of rolls over you and takes so much ground because you're kind of just stuck in a corner with the rest of your team. And I think we've seen that at least 2 of the mids. Dingo has been so low that he's forced to play so safe that he cannot punish the people that just decide to run at Soar. I also think Soar doesn't realize that Dingo's getting so punished that he's in what would normally be a safe spot. He's actually pretty alone, and that's why he's been able to get also really hurt and even die that one mid, because he's not realizing the domino effect that's happening. So these resets, until the cell actually figure out their issue to allow Dingo to be able to have a game in the first 10 seconds of the mid before his whole teams arrives, I don't know if they're going to be too excited about going for a reset here. Because Greg goes for a fake, collides with one of the other soldiers, and will eventually die to fall damage, but Yite will give up his life as well. He tries to deploy, but Raven will pistol him down. High Five on the move, over by the flank. Soar in tow, trying to chase down Blank, will not be so successful. Gungan in the thick of it, will try to get the kill onto Raven, but Jay will go ahead and clean up that kill himself as there's a scout duel over the back lines that Blank will win as High Five has left him to go on to greener pastures, kind of abandoning him as Blank. Kind of weak, needs an arrow, will find it. High Five, finding the timing though. Divine has arrows out, but the second rocket will not come out as Divine and Blank are okay to fight another day, as the cell down 2 players, still have an Uber to use if they need to, and the exchange will come out, but the time will be a factor here that will go ahead and go to a reset, another mid fight, and I'm really curious to see how the cell is able to kind of change the way they're playing. Because not all their mids have been abysmal. They've actually been able to play some of the mids and show some prowess. But the cell paused here. I'm assuming this is attack because they didn't get to really play that many mids. So kind of excited to see what they actually change.
We'll have to see if whatever they change is successful as we go on to the next mid. Dingo, once again, like you said, taking a little bit of damage. He's just going to have to opt to get the pack. And already a little bit of territorial control coming out from Jiminy at the moment. Everyone on the cell is just so far and away, kind of backed out of mid that it's looking like Jiminy just have it all to themselves. High Five taking so much damage, is going to be taking down Soar once again. Might be caught out, might be able to trade out with Sai, but no, not even that. And that's going to be another lost mid for the cell. It's exactly as you said, Jarrett. Dingo just taking so much damage. No one was able to get in through Valley, and then one by one, everyone else was taken down.
Yeah, crawled out through lower, and it was a bit it's slower compared to the other Demo Man rollout, so Artist just wins the Demo v Demo, and Dingo doesn't have a presence to actually punish the scouts that are trying to climb really early, and it makes his own scouts of Sora and Raven like 100 HP or less once the fight really kicks off. So, player disad for the side of the right team, but they're still trying to push forward because they know they have an Uber at it. It might get defused, but no, Divine will surf back, will eat a pack. The rest of the team, a bit weak though, they recognize the surf. They saw that Artist was unable to be beamed, but Blank might go for a play here. He's kind of hiding, trying to find the right moment. Doesn't want to pull the trigger too early, especially because they still have ad work, but this is the moment. He finds his way onto Jay, does succeed in killing the medic. Didn't even need to per se, as Uber will come out, but able to get the kill onto Greg as well. So one soldier down as Soar finds himself hiding in a corner in ramp room, might try to go for a block, but yikes. Played too many pugs, has had too many people hiding in corners to not check that, and will succeed at eliminating the threat before they even showed themselves. So 3 players left alive, getting slowly reinforcements on the side of the cell, but overall, Jiminy are able to, even though they use the Uber, take second, and now they have an ad to work with. Even though it's not as big, it's still 100% doable. And they're building it up. Raven's got the gun going. Don't see off classes quite yet. Maybe Sora build and then swap to Pyro last second. I think that's probably what he's been doing. But we'll see if Jiminy's able to put another round on the board and make this lead that much bigger.
Yeah, and actually now we have entered continuous overtime, so they could just walk away with it right here. If they are successful with this push, it could decide the game. Sai coming in with the Uber. Soar on that Pyro, trying to defend with everything that they've got. They do take down the Pyro and the Sentry Gun, now getting a lot of cap time onto the point. Everyone on the cell just trying to bomb in and block, and they might be able to do it, but yikes, bombs onto the point, a lot of damage. Here comes Blake, trying to jump around, is not going to die just quite yet. Finally is going to be taken down, but not before he kills Jay Hyunpei. Divine able to stay alive, meets back up with Gungan. That's going to be pretty significant Uber advantage for Jiminy. They might lose control of second, but they're going to have Uber and respawners to try and retake it. Yeah, right back.
High Five though, goes in, gets the kill on the side. Wanted to get the kill on a Divine, but will not be so lucky. But the side of the cell, I mean, it was mostly just a distraction for High Five to go for the play. It's really good they killed Gungan there, but they definitely need to escape their lives. It's a 4v4. They already have disad. They don't want to get dried early and let the Uber milk themselves in. But, you know, getting the kills there slows things down. Jiminy are going to wait for their respawners, just play off their ad they know they have. And it's not huge. If this is a slow and methodical push, you know, you could easily see Jay get his Uber in the middle of it. So, you know, definitely going to gun for kills or just go immediately for the cap time. This Sword Pyro is being a thorn in their side, but they're actually going to go for main once again, it looks like. They're kind of showing early. Is it a fake out? No, it's a real commit. They don't think their ad's that big enough. They didn't even think it was that big of an ad. Even though Jay, like, kind of, you know, died at the tail end there in the previous fight. So they're just poking and prodding, and they don't think it's going to be good enough. They take a lot of damage, but overall, that's the sacrifice you have to pay to try to kill the gun. But with a power up, they do not succeed.
They do not succeed, so this is going to be a stalemate. Still, Jiminy sitting in a very good position, being 2 rounds up, 1 round away from winning this game, and trying to fight on to Vasel's last Vasel. Their backs are up against the wall if they want to try and win this one. High Five over on the high ground, just going to try and stuff all these projectile players as they bomb in, trying to get onto Jane. They are going to get the 4th out. Really great stuff there. It is going to be a 4-man, but only 2 players left alive for Jiminy are going to be Sai and Divine, who read the call and knew what to do. That was get the heck out of second, keep yourselves alive, and now that means they're going to be able to re-push in with very big Uber advantage. They're just actually playing pretty far back on mid just in case Vassell try and contest it, and it seems like they are, but all the spawners for Jiminy are right here with Uber to try and get this back.
Oh, goodbye, Gungan. He went in a bit early and immediately found himself dead. Sor might get the kill on the Blank, but no, Yike comes to help. They're trying to chase down inside the house area. They're able to get the kill on the Dingo, and they do not have... Oh, Jay fell down right into a scout. Blank, is he going to be able to get the frag? No. Raven is there in the way, but the rest of the team is streamlining forward. But high five in the back line, causing some chaos, and will succeed in getting tons and tons of kill here. It is overall just a 1v1 when it comes to players that are still in the fight, as everyone else that is arriving is going to be a respawner. High five hits his head, tries to win the MGE versus Artist, only 42 HP, hits the one lock, no, but it's not quite enough. Reinforcements come in. Gungan, he's found himself in the alleyway area, but they know they're fighting against a respawn disad here if they can continue to streamline their way into, and with Artist being the last man dead there means it's actually a little bit difficult for them to prevent the Self from poking their heads. They might try to go for a dry here, especially because Jay has respawned on crits. This could be the egg cracked open that allows them to get some extra room and make it not so nonchalant of the fact that they're running forward to use this crits ad that they've made for themselves. They're buying some time. Artist will be back eventually, and he's laying the stickies down on top of the roof as we speak, but the side of the cell, I mean, they kind of need to keep doing this though with the crits ad they have. They've lost control of the house area. They're just backing up, and they're not just going to gun for it. They're going to wait, maybe use the crits when they rotate through alley or something, and they're going to try to find another opportunity, but they're all the way back to their own two.
Thing is that now Divine is gonna have Uber, so that first crit sticky, first crit rocket, because you could maybe do it there if they're holding close to house and that soldier just peeks down that hallway and gets a massive amount of damage. Whatever the first crit thing is, it has to really get onto the Divine, because otherwise Divine is just gonna be able to right click and instantly negate all of that damage headed their way. So it's gonna be very crucial on Vassell to do this wisely, because also they're on the defensive here. If a bomb comes in and is able to get onto Jay, Jay doesn't have any invincibility to defend themselves with, so they're sitting in a very, very tricky position. I don't know if they know on the side of Jiminy if they were able to get a good read on what medigun Jay was using. If they do, then they might be playing accordingly, but if not, they might have a very unpleasant surprise headed their way if Vassell are able to use it optimally, and that is a very big if.
I can only assume they know at this point. I was thinking like, they probably don't know, but they're really taking their time. Unless they were like discussing within the team coincidentally about how they wanted to deal with a normal sack attempt to try to break this. They're acting like they do know and are trying to bait it, and they know the timing would be when they enter alley. And that's why Divine is like very, very cautious right now. And not even Artist is getting that deep. No one's actually going in. The sack isn't happening. They just want to bait the crits and then peace out. But I think at this point, because they're also taking so long, they kind of realize that, yeah, oh, Dingo wants it. He's using it. It comes out, but the Uber is already in play. They're caught. Dingo is going to die in the shutter. Sword will not be so lucky to be able to escape. Eats the pill, but is eventually going to get scattered down by the side to side. But he's living for the long. They're caught. They're caught in ramp room. It's happening. Okay, they will eventually wipe. I was very scared for a moment for how much beef that was happening on the side of Jiminy at the tail end there. You saw how long Sor was living, and that was about to be the turnaround of a century, but they will not be so lucky there. The greatness only lasts for so long, and Jiminy, they pick up the slack and are able to actually secure that third round after some meticulous gameplay. They're trying to bait out the crits. They do so successfully, and the patience pays off. 3-1 game on Metalworks in favor of Jiminy.
3-1 for Jiminy, and what a back and forth game that it was. Jiminy gonna be able to take it, but it wasn't straightforward for them. I mean, they did win, I think, almost every single mid. I'm looking at the logs right now, so I mean, if you win the mids, you're just setting yourself up amazingly to win the game. It's not a surefire thing, but it's a lot harder if you're not winning all the mids or even just one. So Vassell, definitely something that they've got to look at, irregardless of everything else that kind of went on in that match. But otherwise, it just seemed like a lot of kind of mid-level mistakes, a little bit of miscoordination from Vassell. Sometimes they would maybe just chase a little bit too much. Maybe some of their players would just die in unfortunate times, but Jiminy able to just whittle down Vassell, break themselves out of jail, and able to take the game.
Yeah, I mean, in a match this close, you really need to have the opportunity to actually play the mid, and they didn't really get, like, there was one reset, so there was 6 mids, right?
Yes.
So, or I guess there wasn't really a mid for there, so no, it was 5 mids. Uh, they didn't get to play 3 of them. Like, they really ended before they began. And when a map that, well, I guess not even necessarily the map, but like when you play back and forth like this versus your opponent, where you're taking turns, gaining ground, and both of you have opportunities to try to break stalemates on the other half of the map and potentially earn some points for yourselves, I think it's kind of what you normally think back towards. Because if you get the mids down, then even though you were teeter-tottering back, if you could have went forward off of being on their half of the map rather than your own, then you convert more rounds there. So it definitely makes sense why Jiminy picked the map. You know, they obviously had something down. They knew their path to victory. And it was pretty simple. They basically didn't... I mean, if they had any mid strategies, they definitely did not really need to use them to win. They won through other means. So definitely hats off to them. And they're looking like they're in a pretty good spot to be able to still consider themselves in the running for playoffs while the Cell... They're not out of it. There's still a whole second half of the season, but their safety net is... it's safe to say it's gone.
Yeah, no, it is 100% gone. I mean, the Cell, like you said, definitely have an opportunity. They do have a path forward, but it's going to be a lot harder. Jiminy, however, looking very, very good. Going to be a still undefeated 6-0, something that not even G6 can say at the moment. So they're going to be up there with Froyotech, at least for the kind of mid-season standings for the meantime. So that's going to be a pretty interesting match, I guess, Jiminy versus Froyotech, which is going to be happening next week, if I remember the schedule, because Jiminy has now got a lot more kind of heavy hitter matches that they've got to contend with. But so far, it seems like they have been able to get themselves on top every single time they've played. So it's going to be very interesting to see if that continues. Otherwise, I don't know, looking at the logs, Artist doing a ton of damage, 263, some of the scouts on the low end, but it was such a stalemated game. A lot of them were just kind of sitting on last or sitting in lobby that it's not too surprising to see kind of lower damage there. But otherwise, it's really, like you said, just the mids, or I guess the lack of mids coming out from the Cell.
Yeah, I mean, the game still was pretty close, all things considered, not only just the score, but the way it was back and forth a lot. So it kind of makes sense that if you try to look at the differences between the teams, that it's hard to find too much of a difference, or even if you find differences between one class, you know, there's it's better for the other team for a different class. So, you know, at the end of the day, it just comes down to the little things in terms of, you know, did you maintain your Uber when you won? How many points did you actually get across? Where did the map start at? You know, like I said before, you can have back and forth really close stats, but if you're starting on your wrong side of the map every single time, it's not going to end well for you. So, but we do have Gungan in, maybe some more for some interviews. Welcome, Gungan. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you, thank you.
I wanted to ask for the mids. So many of those mids looked like they ended before they began. Was that part of your strategy to just like play it so fast that they didn't really have any chance to do any form of strategy? Or was that just kind of how it happened and then you just took the freebies when they came?
You know, I can't give too much of that sauce, but you know, we value getting a lot of damage early. It's very good in almost every situation. So yeah, we like doing that.
I think even though the mids were pretty much in your favor, I think the match overall was still back and forth. Were there any aha moments in the middle of the match where you kind of realized what you needed to actually start breaking through more than just the, you know, trading like second and mid, for example, to actually get all the way to the last and convert the rounds? Or was it just kind of like you just slowly grinded away at it and there wasn't some special thing you realized?
I mean, it felt like the situations we kept getting into were like either their second trying to sack in or their last taking an Uber. So those were the situations we really got to like refine. Was like, okay, this sack didn't work. Okay, let's try a new thing. Or this Uber was shit. Let's do a different fucking Uber because it was terrible. Or I like fed or something during the Uber, and so we had to fix something. So yeah, it was good. We got to retry the same scenarios over and over until it, like, you know, we figured it out.
As a player that I feel like normally, at least because of the role that you've known to play, you're definitely at least always have some sort of say in the way that a team plays and their play styles and where they go and what they do and don't do. But now on Soldier, it's very much a sacrificial role, regardless of whether you're on Pocket or Roamer. how has the switch up been for you so far, and when it's in a match setting against teams that are trying to their fullest and are actually synchronized? You know, I know obviously you have pug experience, but it's definitely not the same. So I was curious what your thoughts are, like when you're, well, I see this is week 3, so you probably played preseason, like what, a month in? Any thoughts?
I love it. Roamer, like honestly, I'm better at Roamer than Flank Scout. Like I unironically think that. Like my rockets, maybe not the best, but I think I have good timing and I know how to jump. And like I'm on like the perfect team. Like my entire team is goated. Like everyone has like 2800 elo. So like me having like maybe not the greatest DM ever, it doesn't matter if I can like jump around and have good timing. So I think this team is a really good fit for me to try out Soldier. And you know, I still sneak in the comms a lot, so you know, I haven't lost the combo scout mentality a little bit, but yeah, no, it's been really fun. I've loved it.
Was this match one that you guys were looking forward to playing and beating, like in terms of importance, or rather just like something you're looking forward to for fun, or is that a different match that's going to be coming up later on that you guys are really, you know, striving for? That's the next thing on the list. It's important to you guys.
You know, this was a very important match, not just for, you know, potential playoffs implications, but something happened before the season started to this team, and justice for Hubert is all I can say. A little fishy friend lost his gills, and yeah, we feel a little bad. So we had to get some retribution for that.
Well, you definitely succeeded.
Aside from that, you know, we're excited to play against Froyo and G6, see if we get rolled or not, see if we can take some rounds, maybe win. And yeah, of course, Franz J, because all my friends are on that team, so it'll be some good friendly competition. But yeah, I love how stacked Invite is this season. Like every team is like honestly really solid. So
do you have any thoughts on who the prospective teams in they're going to be the heavy hitters to, you know, you really try to, you know, need to beat to get in playoffs? Like, do you have any thoughts about potential top 4 or who there are the teams to watch out for? Or do you think that more weeks need to transpire before that's really nailed down since everything's so close?
Well, all I gotta say is Jiminy's 6-0 right now, so we're sitting kind of pretty. Nah, we need to beat this team, the Cell, and we need to beat Bronze J. Those are the goats. So, I think those are gonna be us, and then those two are gonna be the playoffs contenders, like that are seriously in it right now.
You have any thoughts or questions, TC?
No, I just gotta say congrats on a very hard-fought victory against the Cell, and good luck on your close matches or very hard matches next week.
I guess the final question is: got any MVPs for this match, or was it a team effort?
I think, I mean, Artist, of course, always he's our rock. I think Sai said it last time. Like he's always gonna pop off, do insanely well. Blank played out of his mind. I'm not gonna lie, he did so much. Like I think he's the reason.
2 ornament kills.
Yes, and he had like really good flank timings. Like I wouldn't have found that on Flank Scout, but he just got it and found really crucial kills that like honestly won us rounds. So yeah, I shout out Blank and Sai. I mean, my entire team is so good. Like everyone played really well, but I think if I was gonna say anyone, Blank really stepped up.
Well, you guys are on the up and up, and I'm definitely sure that everyone can't wait to see you guys play even more difficult matches. As you know, I think it doesn't get any easier from here, but you guys have definitely shown what you're capable of, and who knows, maybe you'll be able to define yourself. You know, you'll get 7-0, and then 8-0, and then who knows, maybe you go undefeated if the stars align. But everyone's waiting with bated breath, so we're definitely going to be catching your future matches in the coming weeks. But in terms of tonight, I think we're nearing the end point. Do you have any thoughts or shout-outs before we go ahead and close the stream, Gungan?
You know, shout out my team, shout out the Cell, fun game. Shout out everyone playing Invite this season, making it really fun. And yeah, shout out you guys, production, keeping the game alive. That's it.
What about you, TC?
Yeah, shoutouts to the teams for playing. Without you guys, there'd be no matches to cast. Shoutouts to everyone watching. Shoutouts to you, Jarrett, for being an amazing co-caster. Shoutouts to Dolphin for all the amazing production work that he does behind the scenes. Shoutouts to the RGL merch. Buy it, wear it, show up to lands in it. Really cool stuff. But other than that, it's going to be it for me.
Yep, thank you everyone for watching. This team is very stacked, and every single week there are plenty of close games that you do not want to miss. Not only just close, but have many implications for playoffs and even implications for staying in Invite in general, because someone's got to go to make room for the advanced winners every season. And if teams aren't dying because it's LAN season and it's staying LAN season, then someone's going to get kicked off if they're, if they're not too careful with their win-loss percentage. So everything's important, everything's really close, and you definitely do not want to miss what we're having next week. Obviously, we got to wait for teams to actually schedule it. You can generally kind of assume that it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, something along those lines. If you can't wait till then, Highlander is always Monday, and that never gets rescheduled. So you have that at least to bide your time until you get back to the Sixes action. But for tonight, that'll be it from us. I've been Jarrett, casting with TC Mono and Delphin on production. Thank you, and good night.